But yeah, let's just dive straight in. It's always a super simple start. I like to start every interview and chat off in the exact same way, and it's simply checking in. We are during at a point now, a wonderfully busy period of time, so much to celebrate, so much going on. It can be quite a drain. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, keeping busy. I feel like I haven't really had a spot to stop.
Ooh.
I've been doing a lot of content creation, to the which helps to promote the band and promote the album, and a lot of background stuff that goes into releasing the album as well. So yeah, I feel like I haven't stopped, but I kind of like it that way, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I like to be busy, so
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, it's good that you're it's a positive busyness, of course, because last time we spoke, it's been a little while, but last time we spoke, it was a lovely sunny day at Bloodstock in 2023. I've rewatched that interview last night actually as well, and it was a really nice bloody day we had there. It was a
yeah.
unique experience as well for this Summit Fever, of course. Sum up, if you can, the last year and a half, because that's how long it's roughly been, the last year and a half for this Summer Fever.
Yeah, so it's been a period of change. So we didn't do a huge amount of live gigs because we signed a record deal with Majestic Mountain Records sort of middle of last year. So uh, we we were kind of desperate to release our music, but we had to, the release is already lined up for that year, so we couldn't release last year. So it was a case of just hanging in there and waiting for our turn, I suppose. But we did do Stoomfest, which is a pretty cool festival which happens in London every year. Um, and we did a lot of like one-off dates here and there around the country as well. Did something with the Civil War, which is a collective that we were part of. So yeah, it's been good and it's been productive. And yeah, just like that. Yeah. Oh, we went into Foal Studio. I probably should have mentioned this. So we went into Foal Studio in Wales. A lot of legendary bands recorded there. It's a cracking studio. And we decided that we wanted to do a live performance, so completely live, um, but tracked in a controlled environment, so not
Mhm.
like at a gig. Because the
Yeah.
only record that we had of us uh, playing was, it's been recorded on a phone essentially. We wanted to have like a really good quality uh, documentation of what we do.
Yep.
And while I was putting that together, I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we filmed it as well? So uh, my friend Chris and Ange and Rob, they came to film it as well. And it turned out really good. And our first single, which is Hooks, was one of the videos that we filmed on that day. Um, so that was a really, really, really good session. And we were there just for one day. And we've got quite a few videos that we recorded of the new songs. And yeah, so that was a really big deal for us. It's really, really cool experience.
Hell yeah. And it's, well, I mean, you make it sound like you use that time super efficiently, clearly.
Yeah, yeah. So we actually recorded 10 songs for that as well. So yeah, so we'll release those as and when. Um, but yeah, it's just sort of coincide with the album. So uh, the album is been a bit of a labor of love. So uh, we recorded that ourselves,
Yeah.
and we did that sort of like start of last year actually. Um, so yeah, that's been that was a big project. We produced it ourselves, mixed it, and just got it mastered by a guy called Dean Honer. And yeah. yeah, it's come out really good, I think.
Not a bad year and a half, and it is. I mean, it's fantastic. Even though you obviously had to sit on the album, there's a damn good reason why you had to sit on that album. That's fantastic in itself. Obviously, signed to Majestic Mountain Records, of course, but also coming out of Bloodstock, quite an incredible experience. A high point for you, no doubt, but also like it wasn't the end. It wasn't like, okay, we've reached this pinnacle, now we carry on. What did you learn? Speaking about that specific Bloodstock performance, what did you learn from it? Do you think?
That's a really good question. I think that was the biggest thing that we've been part of up until that point. Uh, and I suppose, yeah, I learned that uh, we were worthy of doing something like that, and that we can connect with a metal, a very, very metal crowd, because it's
Yeah.
quite a, um, I think it's Bloodstock has become a lot more open to different genres within metal. And yeah, I learned that, we we fit in lots of different places, with our music, I think. And yeah, that was quite a nice thing to come away from.
Nice positive feeling still about it, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. It was a fantastic day and an honor to play. Yeah, I'd love to do it again sometime. You know.
Well, that's the goal, right? That's a goal, isn't it? Just you've done
Mm.
it once. There's other stages to play. It's not unheard of. But alongside that, there are also a ton of festivals. You said it yourself. You fit there. Where else don't you bloody fit? You fit everywhere. So from Glastonbury to Reading and Leeds to Download to even some of the sort of smaller weekender ones that occur across the country, anywhere and everywhere, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think we, the good thing is that we I suppose we crossed a few different genres. There is that sort of fuzz sound, and we've got a bit of grunge in there. There's uh, and obviously the stoner thing as well. So yeah, I think because of that, it sort of helps us to fit in many different uh, genre, festivals and gigs.
There's a lot to
Yeah.
love about you. We'll get to more of that in a bit. Right, gonna pull some out from the head now. Okay, what horror movie cliche character would you be?
Uh, Dracula.
Why Dracula?
Well, he's the coolest one, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Okay. Which version of Dracula? I mean, are we talking like Christopher Lee's pretty cool? Are we talking like oh man, I've forgotten yet. Gary Oldman? Like half of that Dracula isn't as cool. The older version with the red suit. Are we talking more modern day Dracula portrayal like Blade? The third Blade film had a Dracula in it. What Dracula?
Yeah, the Bram Stoker one is probably the one I was thinking of.
Okay,
That
all right.
when I yeah.
When he goes to London though, right? When he's like younger and a bit more suave and all of that, yeah?
Yeah. Or there's what was that other one? Interview with the Vampire as well.
Oh,
That, that was Brad
which,
Pitt, wasn't it? Was it
yeah.
Brad Pitt?
Well, not specifically Dracula, but like of them two, you have Tom Cruise as Lestat and
That's it.
Brad Pitt as Louis. So one
Yeah.
of those two. Which one would you prefer to be?
Louis, I think.
There it
It's
is.
been a
Okay.
minute since I've seen that, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh, very sexy. Okay. Do you collect anything?
Do I collect anything?
Hmm.
I collect memories,
Yeah.
uh, and photographs. No, I collect guitars. I've got a little collection of guitars, and yeah, I try and resist to buy another one. But yeah, it is a bit of an addiction.
What's the pride amongst the collection?
So I think with my guitars, I don't have anything that's like really, really expensive. Uh, but I think I've got a Les Paul.
Hmm.
which I use a lot with the band, and I think that's one of the best guitars I've ever owned. And yeah, I love mine.
Yeah, cost isn't everything, you know. If it means something to you, you get great sound from it. That alone makes it an important instrument.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think like you could spend many thousands on a guitar, but I think you if I had a guitar, really really expensive guitar, I don't think I would want to take it and play it out. And a guitar's meant to be played, aren't they? So
Yeah, taking it, yeah, getting it bumped around in the back of a van kind of thing. You wouldn't want to do it.
exactly.
All right, who's a band or artist outside of rock and metal? So outside of the scene, you kind of sit in, and I certainly belong in. So a band that's or an artist outside of rock and metal that you admire.
Okay. First one that springs to mind is a guy called Jason Ibel or Isbell, uh, country folk singer. He's just released a new album, and it's it's magic. It's
Yeah.
really really great. Yeah, yeah,
I'll admit to having a huge level of ignorance when it comes to country music. Outside of the classic great names, that would be it. It'd be very lazy. I don't know that particular name. I don't think I do anyway.
yeah. It's good. I mean, it's good if you want to chill. And I listen to all sorts of music.
Mm.
Um, and obviously heavy guitars are the thing that I gravitate towards the most. But I love great songwriting, and I think
Yeah.
great songwriting exists in all genres. Um, and I think it's very powerful to be able to, put an album out which he's just done, and it's just him and an acoustic guitar. There's no other instruments on it
Mm.
whatsoever. And yeah, it's captivating. It was for me anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, it speaks of an immense talent to be able to do that. But speaking of immense talent, we are, of course, a mere few weeks away from the release of your debut self-titled album at April 4th via Majestic Mountain Records. So, some of your feelings about the record as we near release, especially when you consider the positive response to the single so far.
Yeah, so it's always a bit nerve-wracking. I've lived these songs for a long time.
Hmm.
And I suppose, you know, you kind of reach the point where, I am excited about the songs. I love to play them. We're in the practice room, and we've played them live. Um, but yeah, to release them out into the world is always a nerve-wracking proposition for any musician, I think. Um, but yeah, I'm super duper proud of the songs. There's a lot of emotion in the lyrics and in the songwriting. I've put a lot of myself uh, into it. It's been quite cathartic. I've had a lot of changes going on in my life, and it's been when I was writing the album, uh, a lot of things were happening in my life that were a bit tricky. So it was kind of a way of dealing with that. It's like almost therapeutic in a sense. So yeah, I don't know whether it will mean anything to anyone else, but it has a lot of meaning to me anyway. So
But even if someone's summation is that they just, I don't know, they groove to it, they headbang to it, they just have a bloody good time. That's still like massively important to you, right?
yeah, and I probably went a little deep there. I'm sorry, but
No, no, not at all.
uh, yeah, ultimately, yeah, people take from music what they take from it, and if people connect it with our music on any level, that's a cool thing for me. And of course, like I say, people take different things from music. Some people they just like the riff, they just like you say, they just like to, feel the groove. And other people, that they're listening more for the lyrics, or they like the drums, or
Hmm.
everybody has a different music hits people in different ways, and that's what's great about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and of course, even if connection-wise can be so varied and so unique, it can be that one person who connects to it in a way that maybe even you never thought was possible, and almost becomes spiritual to them. So fingers crossed. The hope is that at least people do connect to it, which based off the reaction to the singles, people seem to be. There's a very positive response to them. Does
Mm.
that positive response kind of encourage you in regards to how the full thing might be received?
Yeah, it is encouraging. As I say, when you release anything out into the world, it is a nerve-wracking process because there's a lot of heart and soul that goes into
Mm.
creating music. So yeah, I can't lie about that. That it is nerve-wracking, but at the same time, uh, yeah, you're absolutely right. The singles have been uh, really received very well, and people seem to like it. So that does sort of bode well for the rest of the album. Yeah.
Well, folks haven't actually heard the best song yet. I'm gonna say it. I have, in my opinion. But I'm not sure if it's going to be released as a single, so I won't say what it is just yet. I might at the end will be just when I just mention what I think might be. Well, at least my favorite song anyway. But it's a long and winding road to release. There's a lot of work. We already talked a little bit about at the start, where a lot of work to go into it well beyond the songs actually being finished and ready to go out into the world. So, talking about this album build specifically, what's been fun for you? What have you really been enjoying out of the album build?
Do you mean actually putting the album together?
No, I mean, like let me rephrase that. The songs are finished, the music's done, and it's a long and winding road. There's a lot of stops along the way, a lot of things you have to do, whether it be promotion, interviews, for example, social media stuff, all the stuff that goes with building to an album release. That stuff. What's been particularly fun for you from a creative perspective? What's been fun for you in this album build?
Uh, I I think yeah, but putting some of the promotional material together and sticking that out and seeing people's reaction to it has been really cool. And yeah, and connecting with people online. So if people have f found the music, um, via Instagram or Facebook and they're into it, then that's always a nice feeling that we've made that connection. So yeah, I think that I think ultimately that's what m most of the time um, musicians are seeking really, I suppose, is like they've created the music and I suppose it's making that connection with people either through a live gig or uh, or online or however that music finds people. Um, I think everyone's seeking some sort of connection,
Mm.
be it in music or not. So um, I think that there is always that human element for me. Like I always uh, like to like to talk to people. So
So it's not just screaming into the void endlessly. Someone is actually shouting back at you. That's what's important to you.
yeah, well, yeah. Like I say, it is nice to connect with people, and especially if they found the music organically, that's always a really nice
That
thing.
is.
Yeah.
What do you think the album says about this Summit Fever?
I I feel that it's a true representation of where we are. I think each thing we've done has been slightly different because we've been well. I think any band is always trying to find their sound, and I think that's a healthy thing.
Mm.
Um, and I truly think that the the releases that we put out prior to this have been a build up to get to this point. I, that's how I feel about it. I put a lot of thought into the how to actually to produce it and to capture it, and I deliberately didn't put lots of layers on it and use lots of uh, studio effects and things like that.
Mm.
Try to keep it pretty raw, so it's fairly sort of close to what we can do live, if that makes sense. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
That does make a lot of sense, actually. And there is a, I haven't obviously heard the album before. There's a clear, this is how it's supposed to sound live. You used the word raw. It is sometimes an overused word in this particular sound as well, but it applies, it sticks when it matters, when it's an important word. It should be used, and that is very much the case here. But it's like raw can also sometimes to some people's ear mean, oh, it's almost unlistenable, it's too fuzzy, it's too messy, and so on. That is certainly not the case. You say yourself, you put a lot of time, you put a lot of effort into getting this right. How? Like, what I mean by how is like, you know you want it to sound like you sound live, but actually being able to do that. I mean, what was the process? What was your thinking? And how did you take that vision and turn it into reality?
Yeah, I think like if I wanted to capture it live, then we would have done what we did at Foal, and done like a live session, and that is what we have done that, and
Yeah,
that's going to stand with with the album and go alongside it. But um, I do like to capture. I think recording live is one thing, but like when you're multi-tracking,
mm,
you can focus a lot more, and that's quite important to me. I still want to capture an absolutely brilliant performance, and try and make sure that it's as good as it can be, if that makes sense. Like a live thing, you're always going to get the odd little mistake here and there, um, and that is beautiful if that's if that's what you want to capture as well.
mm.
If you listen to the old Black Sabbath recordings and the old Led Zeppelin recordings, that there was little fluffs here and there, like and that's kind of what makes it great.
Special. Yeah,
But well, it's not what makes it great, but it adds to the charm of it.
yeah.
But I think I was more of the mind like I want to capture the the most potent version of what we do, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And that does require multi-tracking and capturing the things separately. Yeah.
But it is fair to say that you would this you see this record as the defining this Summit Fever record as of right now, the definition of who and what you are. This is it.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. I think I think like songwriting wise as well, I think uh that's a craft that I care a lot about, and I've really tried to again try and distill that to make the songs as 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 great as they can be, basically. Yeah.
How how experimental, but from a songwriting perspective, how experimental did you find yourself being quite early on? Like, because you talked earlier on about not necessarily having a clear definition of your sound. Perhaps still trying to find your sound. So that would obviously have meant you experimented a fair bit. How, in those early days for this album, the songwriting process, how experimental were you?
Very actually.
Mm,
I did test a lot of things out before I started to, um, when I was demoing the songs, there was a lot of experimentation with sounds. And one of the songs on the album is very, very different to the rest of the songs. It's a very meaningful song
mm,
to me. Um, but I kind of wanted to write like kind of like a quite a psychedelic,
mm.
like almost dreamy kind of song. Um, and yeah, that's the album closer. And it's not one that we'll ever do live, I don't think, because that is the exception to the rest of the album where there are lots of layers on it, and I just let that one be its own thing, you know.
Mm.
Uh, but it does sort of sum up the album. It does kind of end the album on a certain note, you know. So
It's
Yeah.
notable as well because it's the longest track as well by I think at least like maybe almost a minute compared to the others. So they were like that. That's another notable aspect, not it being a finale. And as you say, a different sonic experience. I kind of jumped back when we see they never do it live because I'm like, God damn it, you got to do that live eventually. Never say never, right? Just not
Well,
now.
no, never say never, but yeah, it's you perhaps do a version of it, but yeah, yeah, it's a special
Okay,
song to me, that one. Yeah.
yeah, that. Why is it a special song to you? Can you elaborate? Do you want to elaborate? Elaborate, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I think like all my songs are really about the human condition, the I'm trying to understand myself and also people around me and the world to a certain extent. And yeah, this that song that we're talking about uh, is about seeing a loved one descend into dementia, basically, which I suppose is like it's quite a dark subject, but it's something that touches a lot of people,
Mhm.
uh, and that's why I called it "It Haunts Us" because I think I think the it's certainly my greatest fear is um, not being able to recognize my family and vice versa, like someone in the family not being able to recognize me anymore. And we, we've had that in my family, with my granddad. So it's yeah. So again, it's yeah, it's a powerful song for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely understand, and I do actually understand because it's my father is currently in a home suffering with dementia, so it's something I can relate to and connect to as well. It's a horrible, horrendously horrible, debilitating disease, and anyone that's ever experienced it, whatever way of their life, yeah, hopefully they'll connect to a track like this in the way that obviously as importantly as it means to you, of course, as well.
I'm
Um,
sorry, really sorry to hear that.
Oh, I sound so dismissive. It is what it is. But it's not exactly. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, favorite moments then, because obviously such a long period of time, this entire creation process, and I'm talking about from the beginning, the very first note perhaps you ever laid down, first riff, first lyric you wrote, to where we are now. When you look back at the period, what are some of your more positive memories?
Uh, well, there's lots of those. I love
Mm,
to experiment with sounds, and especially with the guitar. I'm doing a lot of I'm covering a lot of sonic uh, space with the guitar because I split the the guitar into a bass amp and a guitar amp as well. Um, so I'm on a constant voyage of discovery with that because I'm always trying to improve and make it bigger, basically. So yeah, so that's always enjoyable for me. I love to play with sounds and and yeah, and experiment. Yeah.
Um, do you have a measure of success for it? What would success for the album look like to you?
Uh, I think it's a success just to release it, I think, and to have it released on a vinyl. That is a huge deal. I think
Mm.
for any band in 2025. The fact that Marco and Majestic Mountain Records believed in it enough to put it on a vinyl, it's not cheap to do. Um, that is a success in itself. Um, I think if we're talking beyond that, that people buy the record, obviously, it's going to be online. You can listen digitally and things like that. But I think if people choose to buy the thing, then again, that's a huge success as well. But again, I think, thinking even further than that, I think because there's so much music being released, I think it's probably a success if anybody listens to it at all, really. I think it's just it's so saturated with music nowadays. Um, and it's a good thing, it's a great thing. But again, it's hard to break through that sometimes.
It is, and that's why I ask about your measure of success because it's almost impossible to define what that is anymore. Your head says, "Oh, well, sales, of course," and from that thousands and tens of thousands of pounds. But we know the reality that is not the reality. So everybody's got a different vibe for it. The fact that it's going to release on vinyl, there we go. Sell those vinyls out. That would be a wonderful thing now, right?
Yeah, it'll be yeah. I should receive some tomorrow actually, so I'm looking forward to seeing them in the flesh because they look amazing, but yeah, I just again, I'm not a very I'm not a very quick thinker. I'm sorry, but I think I, I think I missed a very very obvious thing, which is that if people connect with the music, and I think we talked about that earlier on. Is like I think that's I suppose the aim really, isn't it? For if you release something and if people can connect with it at any or a level, that's a success. Yeah, yeah.
Well said. But of course, you've got plenty of tour dates as well in place over the next couple of months. Notably, an album launch show, April 11th. That's in Wolverhampton. But also playing Desert Fest in London on May 18th as well, Sunday, May 18th. So that's two very notable dates amongst a long litany of dates. Very exciting stuff all around the country. Tell me, what do you get out of playing live?
Yeah, I think when we play live, that's where uh, the music's supposed to be. I think that's because that is the I think that's the one thing that can't be replicated is the live performance. Being in the moment. Uh, so yeah, I get a lot of enjoyment out of playing live. I really, really do. And yeah, I love I love it to connect with the people that are there and connect with the other bands as well. It's just a great experience all round. Yeah.
So you're looking forward to getting out then, out and about, yeah?
Yeah, it's been a minute since we played. So the last gig we did it was in November, um, and yeah, we've kind of just trying to sort of wait and then start to play to then support the album, which is yeah, it's going to start at the end of this month in a couple of weeks' time. So
Can't wait. All right, let's do a couple more from the head then before we wrap this up. All right, you're at a party and it's beginning to die. You need to put a song on to get people moving. What are we doing? What song are we putting on?
Walk by Pantera.
Are you trying to use that as a way to get people out the door or get people excited and partying more?
I think that's a good party tune, that one.
Yeah. What is your go-to purchase when playing Monopoly? It's the first thing you going for on that board.
Mm, the stations.
Yeah, or your
Yeah,
stations guy. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right. You're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Who is your phone a friend and why?
I think my dad. Yeah,
Yeah.
the yeah, he's got good general knowledge. So yeah,
But does he, or is he just doing the dad thing where dads say they know everything?
yeah. It might be a bit of that, to be fair. Yeah, yeah.
Do you enjoy sports, taking part or as a spectator?
I don't really enjoy watching sport, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I do enjoy doing sport, so I enjoy running and keeping myself in shape. But yeah, I'm not a fan of watching sport.
Fair enough. All right. Who was your first TV or movie crush?
My first one,
Hmm.
crikey. Uh, oh, now you're asking. I don't know, maybe like I mean, it was probably a long time ago, but like maybe someone like Annika Rice or somebody like that. You know,
Yeah.
do you
Okay.
remember? Do you remember that?
I
You're
am
about
I
my
am
age, aren't you?
40.
You're in your 40, so
Yep.
yeah. Do you remember that? What was it
Yeah.
called now?
What was the show? Annika
Challenge
Dot.
Annika.
That's it.
Challenge Annika. Yeah, I
There it
can't
is.
believe I pulled that out of out of thin air.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Last one of these then. What was the last movie you watched? And did you like it?
Last movie I watched was the Bob Dylan biopic,
Okay.
and yes, it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I I've seen a lot of music biopics, and I think that's probably one of the best ones. I would say maybe
Are
the
you
best that I've seen.
are you a Bob Dylan fan?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, genius.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. All right, last one, Andy. And it's really looking a little bit beyond because right now the most important thing is, of course, the release of the album. Then that is the current goal. But that then comes out and new goals are created, if not already in place. So what is a realistic goal you'd like to achieve potentially before this year is over?
A realistic goal, I th it would be it would be nice to get working on the next record for me, because this one's been done a while. I've got a few uh, songs, on the hob, let's say. Uh, but yeah, it would be nice to get some songs finished by the end of the year for me. Yeah, yeah.
You're an artist. I don't think anyone should be shocked that you're constantly looking towards the future and coming up with new and fresh ideas. But for now, for everybody that hasn't been sitting on it for as long as you have, which is basically everybody, April 4th via Majestic Mountains Records is the release date as well. Of course, many live shows around the country. Check this out on your social media and get down and see you guys play live. Andy, that's it. We're going to wrap up there. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.